Good day, everyone. In this video, I'll be showing you how to use the Google API to access your Google Drive files using a Python program. Don't forget to like and subscribe. To start, I will open my browser and navigate to the Google API. I will leave the link to the Google API in the description. Next, you will need to go to Enable APIs and Services and click Enable APIs and Services at the top. Search for Google Drive, then select the Google Drive API. For this case, I have already enabled the Google Drive API. However, if you have not enabled it on your end, there is a button here to enable it. Just click it. Let's go back to APIs and Services. Next, go to Credentials. Take note, there are two ways to use your Google Drive API. One is through OAuth and the other is through a service account. For this case, I'll be using OAuth 2.0 since the service account has a problem with regard to uploading and deleting data in your Google Drive. So far, I have tested OAuth 2.0 and there have been no problems with uploading and deleting data. To continue, go to Create Credentials, choose OAuth Client ID, then select Web Application. Let's name this tutorial too. Then, add your authorized JavaScript origins. So, for this case, I will use localhost 5140. For the authorized redirect URIs, I will use http://localhost 5050 and http://127.0.0.1:5050. Click Create. It says here our client has been created. Take note to download the JSON file, since we will be using it to generate another token. Click OK. Here you can see our new client ID has been created, main tutorial 2. Next, go to the OAuth consent screen, then go to Branding and type the name of your app. Add the user support email. You can also add a logo if you want, then add the developer contact information. Note that this OAuth consent screen will appear whenever you try to use your Google Drive API, since Google will ask for permission to allow this app to access your Google Drive. Next, click Audience. Then, be sure that your app is in testing mode. Then add a user. In this case, I already added my email. Next, go to Data Access. Here, you can add or remove scopes, which determine what this app can do in your Google Drive. For this case, I have already set it to create and delete items in my Google Sheets, and I have also set it to create, edit, and delete files in my Google Drive. So, I think that's okay. This is the setup for your Google API. Next, we will go to the JSON file we downloaded earlier. So, this is the file we downloaded from the Google API. Let's rename this one to a file with a shorter name. Let's call this cred.json. Next, we will create our Python application. To do that, I will go to my Tutorials folder. Open the terminal there and open Visual Studio Code. I will also move the creds.json file into our tutorial folder. Then next, I will create my Python application. Let's call it gdrive.py and let's open it. So, our first goal is to generate another token for authentication. To do that, I will need to import OS, then use installed app flow. We need to provide some scope for this application. So, I will create a variable called scope. It is an array, and then I will set the scope to read-only. Then next, I will create a method to generate our authentication file. To do that, I will create the function get_service. I will declare a variable drive_crets. I will use this later, but in the meantime, I'll be pasting some lines of code, and I will explain the purpose of these codes later. Let me paste them first. So, the purpose of this code is to check if we have already generated our OAuth.json. If it was already generated, it gets the credentials from that JSON file. We check if this Google Drive credential is not equal to null and is valid. If it is, we check if it is expired, and if so, refresh it. Otherwise, we'll need to create our OAuth.json. For this case, we still don't have our OAuth.json, so it will use the client credentials of the OAuth ID we created earlier. Then, if it successfully creates the credential, it will save it in OAuth.json. It will create the OAuth.json file if it does not exist. Next, we will build the service, and let's try to use this method. So, we will call the method getGDriveAuthServe. Then in our terminal, let's first create our virtual environment. So, to do that, let's use the other terminal. Then, let's try to run our gdrive.py file. Note that I encountered an indentation error, so to fix this, let me try to copy the method from my reference material to easily fix the spacing. In this case, I tried to print the created credentials. So, I will just comment this out to protect my local drive since this video will be posted on YouTube. Then, let's try to run it again. This time we have another error saying Google Auth is not installed, so we will install it. Let us install Google Auth. Let's try to run it again. Let's fix the scope variable definition next. As you can see, a screen pops up asking us to grant this app permission to access our Google Drive. This is the OAuth screen I mentioned earlier. To continue, let's select our account. And with YouTube tutorials ready for access, let's continue. And it's completed. As you can see, it created the OAuth.json file. Next, we'll use that OAuth.json file to access our Google Drive. To do that, let's create a method called getFileList. I will create a try-catch block and generate a service from our Google Drive Auth function. I will use that service to get the file list from my Google Drive. Next, I will extract the files from my results and declare an array. Since I will be reformatting the output based on the data I need, and because I want to number my items, I will declare a counter and use a for loop. My dictionary will contain a number field, which is just a counter. The name field is the name of the file. The ID field is the unique ID. It is the specific ID in Google Drive. The MIME type field defines the file format. Next, I will return the result. In this case, since we won't use this method to return a value just yet, we will first print the resulting list of items. Then, let's try to call our getFileList method. We will need to provide our accept block first. Then, let's try running it again to handle this HTTP error. The name HTTP error is not defined, probably due to a missing import. Let's try to import HTTP error. It looks like Google API Python client is not installed, so let me look into that. So, you need to install the Google API Python client package. Let's try to run it again. Here is the exact Python module that you need to install. Next, let's try to run it again. It says credentials is not defined. Where exactly did I use the credentials variable? This comes from the Google OAuth credentials module, so let's add that import and try again. Now it says build is not defined, so we need to import build as well. Here, as you can see, it successfully retrieved data from our Google Drive. So, let's try to verify this. Let's search for the file named motorcycle inspection. I will open my Google Drive and look for that specific file. As you can see, motorcycle inspection is listed now. Next, we will integrate this library into a Python Flask application. To do that, I will create a new file called app.py and build a simple Flask app. Let's paste the boilerplate code for Flask, and then we'll try to start the Flask server. Then, let's switch over to our browser. Let's open local port 5140. As you can see, we have successfully created our simple Flask application. Let's go back to app.py and import Flask, which is already done here. Next, we will need to import our Google Drive module, right here into the file. And next, we will create an API endpoint for retrieving our list of files from Google Drive. So, I will name that route /filelist. Then, we will create a corresponding method called file_list. Next, we will fetch drive.getFileList. It will look much better if we format it as JSON, so we will store the raw data in an item_list variable first. Then, we will return the JSON version of it using JSON-py. We'll also need to make sure we import JSON-Py at the top. Let's try running our Flask app again. It printed the result in the console because we forgot to return it from our original helper function. Let's fix that to return the list and then start the server backup. As you can see, we have successfully retrieved the files from Google Drive. In the next tutorial, I will show you how to view these files directly in the browser using Python and the Google Drive API. Thank you for watching and happy coding! See you in the next tutorial.